Hello everybody, and welcome back to Let's Play Gabriel Knight, the Sin of the Fathers. Last time, we decided to pay a visit to Ms. Getty, spoke with her a little bit, and that was pretty useless, and she kicked us out, because we're not real police people. Anyway, I want to leave, and I want that guy that was here, that, oh my gosh, why is that so hard to exit? Why? Why is this so hard? It's like exiting it left or right. For some reason, he doesn't want to do it. Like, seriously, go! Get... Oh my gosh. There, jeez. That is like the one annoying thing of this game. Anyway, that guy that was sweeping there, we actually want to talk to him. So you leave and I enter again, and there he is. So let's talk to him. Let's look at him.
An old man tends the cemetery with movements akin to a slow drawl.
Before he leaves.
Could I have a minute of your time?
Yeah? What can I do for you?
You must enjoy the company of dead folks.
Unlike the living, they ain't never given me no reason to dislike them none.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Mind if I pick your brain a minute?
Go ahead. These folks ain't in no hurry.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. It's like Black Cowboy Santa Claus. Alright.
What can you tell me about Voodoo?
They say it was part of an old religion from Africa, brought here by slaves.
What can you tell...
I don't really care to talk about it. I don't do it none myself.
Alright.
What do you know about the Voodoo murders?
Ain't it just awful, them finding those bodies with voodoo things around them? I don't think there's any real voodoo going on. Somebody's trying to cover their tracks is all.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
Seems like everybody want to visit New Orleans at least once in their lives.
I do.
And they love the cemetery tour. I see tourists in here every day of the year.
Yeah, I think in New Orleans you have to bury your dead above the ground because below it is a bit too wet and it just won't end well.
Do you know anything about snakes?
Snakes? I see snakes around here all the time. Most of them ain't poisonous, of course.
Okay, it doesn't help much.
What's the significance of St. John's Eve?
Why, St. John the Baptist is the patron saint of voodoo.
Oh, really?
Sometimes we get some weird goings-on in that cemetery on that night. More often a few nights before. People taking grave dirt, bones, and more.
That's pretty disgusting.
Yep. Don't know what they do with them, but it can't be pretty.
That's weird because, you know, John the Baptist is a Christian belief, but he's saying voodoo came from the African slaves that came here to America. The African slaves did not have Christianity, at least not until they came here. So, how did John the Baptist... who knows?
Do you have any idea what Gabriel Saint-Coeur means?
No, can't say that I do.
Yeah, nobody's any help with that. Let me guess, you're not going to be any help with this either.
Have you ever heard the word Schottenjäger?
I don't know what you talking about.
Yes. We're not getting much help with that word at all, or Gabriel Saint-Coeur either.
Tell me about yourself.
My name is Toussaint Gervais. I'm the watchman here at St. Louis No. 1.
What exactly do you do here?
Oh, I keep the place tidy, cause, but a big part of my job, too, is looking out for the grievers, you know. People come to pay their respects, and they need looking out for. Sometimes they so grief-bound they don't know what they doing.
Anything else?
Tell me about yourself.
That's about all there is to say.
Alright, and St. Louis Cemetery No. 1.
Tell me something about St. Louis Cemetery No. 1.
You know why the dead are buried in tombs, not in the ground, don't you? The water table's too high. Them
yeah,
coffins
that's what I was-
float right out of their graves.
That's what I was saying.
Them into the quarter. Course, if it was Mardi Gras, nobody'd even notice.
Yeah, heard of that happening before. Old graves all of a sudden getting washed down through an underground river into a above ground river, and people all of a sudden finding like people bones all over the bank and stuff. Not pretty. Good thing they weren't like, you know, fresh corpses or freshish. But that's all he has to say. I wonder if he knows anything about those symbols right there. Let's show the symbols to him.
Does this mean anything to you?
Sure. I see them marks all the time on tombs. Don't know what they mean, though.
Well, he sees them and that's about it, but they're always on these tombs, apparently.
Near the Laveau tomb is a piece of red brick. Undoubtedly a cast-off from spiritual graffiti writers.
Interesting. Can we grab it? What tomb is this
This
anyway?
is the tomb of Marie Laveau, Voodoo Queen of New Orleans. Odd-looking marks adorn the Laveau tomb wall.
Marie Laveau.
A stone angel stands silently before a tomb.
And is that a snake I see?
A marble snake. Now that's cheerful.
An angel with a cross stands guard over one of the tombs. This old tomb is in a sorry state of disrepair.
There's probably no one left in the family to maintain it.
That's too bad. I saw something like that in Peru. There were a whole bunch of like above ground tombs like this, and there were some that were just so broken open that you could actually see some of the old bones inside. And some of these were like of like infants and stuff. It wasn't as macabre as I thought it'd be, since they were like...
The marker reads, Franklin Wright.
These are Grand's folks. I never knew them.
Yeah, they were only like bone fragments and stuff. It's not like we were seeing whole skeletons of people. But still.
Vases seem to be a favorite decoration for the dead.
It's a trash can.
The old man is
Apparently that counts as the
a
old man.
grinning grotesquerie tops one section of the cemetery fence.
Why would you put that in a cemetery?
Vases seem...
Okay. Isn't the tomb of like the knights supposed to be here? Oh well. Doesn't really matter. We are... let's look at this. Because I like taking a look around at things.
New Orleans is famous for its... The name Ross is inscribed on this old tomb.
Oh well, not much else to see here. We can get out now. Go. So I believe, let's go back to the drugstore just for one thing we want to see.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Oh, look at that puppy.
Bonjour, Monsieur Walker.
Oh, bienvenue, mademoiselle. Comment ça va? How you be feeling today?
Well, I'll tell you, Mr. Walker, I'm certain someone's buried a slip-knot bag somewhere near my steps. I haven't slept a wink in weeks.
Oh, don't that beat all. You're gonna need some easy night candles then.
Do you think that would help? I do hope you're right. I said 3 rosaries this morning for Our Lady's intervention.
Rosaries are good, sure enough. But you burn those candles too and you gonna whip any old no-sleep Grigri, I tell you for sure.
Very well, Mr. Walker. Put them on my account and send them round to my house. Oh, and there's another thing. I didn't catch her at it, but I know Mrs. Lefebvre put stomachache powder in my tea at the last meeting of the Creole Grand Dames. Oh, I've been in misery.
You put 9 pinheads up in a little box, add a pinch of graveyard dust, and put it under her front porch step. That'll turn the trick back on Mrs. Lefevre, and she'll be the one with the bellyache. I have the pins and the dust right here if you want them.
If the Blessed Virgin will grant me her protection, I'll be safe from these practitioners of evil.
Oui, madame. Though it don't hurt to be proactive none either. Now does it?
Naturellement, monsieur. Merci beaucoup.
Mais non, madame. It is nothing. Au revoir.
Au revoir, Monsieur Walker.
It's an interesting lady. She seems to have quite a little obsession with the voodoo. Is convinced everyone's doing voodoo against her, and in turn wants to do voodoo against everyone else. Bit of a paranoid. I wonder if she can tell us about her.
Can I ask you just if
Let's see, does she come up? Yes, she does.
that customer of yours, the little old lady,
Customer?
the woman I saw in here, Madame Cazeneuve, you called her.
I don't talk about my customers to men who come in off the street.
Okay, so he's not going to tell us anything, which is, I guess, is good practice. He has morals, I guess. So that's all we really came for. We want to see Miss Cazeneuve. Now let's finally go to the museum. And let's see.
Welcome, my friend.
Hello?
I am the proprietor, Dr. John. If you have any questions, I will be happy to assist.
Great. My name's Nike, and I'll probably take you up on that.
We have here Worf from Star Trek, aka Michael Dorn. Yeah, pretty cool, huh? Guy has a pretty distinctive voice, so you probably would have recognized it anyway, but instead of doing his Klingon voice, he's doing an African accent, which makes sense since he seems to be from Africa.
The back wall displays various voodoo items, such as an anatomically correct voodoo doll with pins strategically placed.
Yeah.
Now, why does that remind me of Grace?
What else is
The
there?
back, an artist's rendering of the voodoo dances in Congo Square in the early 1800s.
I love how it does that, how you don't have to look at everything specifically, how it'll just go down the list so you get everything.
The back, a feathered African mask. The back, an
Okay.
Now, reminds me of a book critic for the New York Times. He's got more hair than Mosley.
Hey.
an official voodoo wish and stump. Rub it and make a wish, a card said.
Funny, I say the same thing to women.
What's this up here?
A very large, very formidable looking snake is secured in a plexiglass cage.
A snake, you say?
On the table is a small coffin. So small, in fact, that it would only fit an infant.
Charming.
It's an electrical switch.
Oh, I'm sure that's full of voodoo energy and mystery. Oh, no, it's just a switch.
What does this do?
Oh, the snake's going crazy.
We have air conditioning.
Yeah, I see.
And made the dialogue go crazy, too. I remember the book we... Oh, sorry. I had to actually call in to sick work today because I had a bad cough. It's mostly gone now. Anyway, remember the book we were reading about snakes is something about some snakes kind of feel by vibration. I wonder if that fan had some sort of effect on it. Well, no matter. It doesn't really affect us in any way.
Dr. John is a huge man. If his manner weren't so pleasant, he'd be intimidating.
Oh, there are flags up here.
Gabriel doesn't recognize the museum's flags.
And they're kind of hard to see. One's red, one's blue and white, and I don't know what they are. So let's talk to Dr. John. Dr. John, St. John's Eve.
This is quite a place you have here.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. I have dedicated myself to the preservation of this unique culture. It is gratifying to see others reap the fruits I have sown.
Like, I would love to visit a place like this. This looks so cool. Wait, what's this back here?
A striking portrait of a turbaned woman is on the back wall. Gabriel wonders who she might be.
Alright, let's actually get to the interrogation.
Could I ask you some questions?
That is why I am here.
And there's Dr. John in all his glory.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Historical voodoo? Or the voodoo currently practiced in the city?
And then we get the options here, but let's get to them in a bit.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
The killings in the newspaper? I know that they have nothing to do with true voodoo in New Orleans.
Okay.
What do you think of New Orleans?
It is the only city in the United States as far as I am concerned.
You know that's not true, but okay. Hey, what about the voodoo murders? Can you tell us any more?
What makes you think the voodoo murders aren't being done by local practitioners?
Voodoo is a popular boogeyman, Mr. Knight, especially in New Orleans. Anyone can pretend to use it, just as anyone can pretend to be a black belt in karate, and for the same reason, to intimidate. I know voodoo in this city, Mr. Knight, and believe me, it is not about killing. Even the police have stated that the killings have nothing to do with local voodoo.
Yeah, we keep going around and asking about it. So what is the goal of that anyway, if it really isn't real voodoo?
Do you know anything about snakes?
Ah, you have perhaps noticed the museum's snake, Mr. Knight. They are beautiful creatures, do you not agree? And the tourists seem to associate them with voodoo.
Is there a reason for this?
Is the snake yours? Do you use it in your practice of voodoo?
I admire the spirit of this snake, Mr. Knight, but snakes like the museums can be quite dangerous to handle.
You didn't really answer my question.
I think I did, Mr. Knight.
Okay, I guess he doesn't want to go into more detail about that.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
It is one of the important ceremonial nights in voodoo.
What else can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
I am afraid I do not know the origins of St. John's Eve. I only know that it was a night of ritual long before voodoo came to New Orleans.
Alright.
Do you have any idea what Gabriel means?
I fear my French is not all it should be, Mr. Knight.
He didn't really answer the question, though.
You're sure you haven't heard the term Gabriel Saint-Corps?
I am sure, Mr. Knight.
Alright.
Have you ever heard of a Schottenjäger?
No, I have not.
Nobody around here knows German.
Tell me about yourself.
Me?
Yes, if you don't mind.
What is it you wish to learn?
Why did you open a voodoo museum?
The subject has fascinated me all my life, and I wanted to help preserve the cultural heritage it represents.
What kind of background in voodoo do you have?
Let us say that I cut my teeth on it, Mr. Knight. It is in my blood.
Okay.
Do you do anything besides run the museum?
No. The museum does not make me a rich man, but my material needs are simple. I prefer to focus on my one true interest in life.
What are your own religious beliefs?
Kind of a rude question.
My beliefs are too personal and too complex to discuss with a layman, Mr. Knight.
Just tell me anything.
I am originally from the West Indies myself, you know.
Really? What brought you to New Orleans?
I was drawn here for personal reasons.
Just tell me anything.
I am a vegetarian.
Really? I can't imagine living without meat.
Same here.
That must be the hunter in you, Mr. Knight.
Oh, snap, foreshadowing. So maybe he does know a little bit of something that we don't. But I'll leave that for later.
Just tell me anything.
I do not care for small talk, Mr. Knight.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Actually, I can't think of a thing.
Then, let us discuss something else.
Tell me about historical voodoo.
Very well. I will start at the beginning, Mr. Knight, and will go on from there at your prompting.
Sounds good.
As you may know, Voodoo is a grassroots religion formed by the mixing together of many different African tribal religions and Anglo religions, such as Catholicism or Protestantism. In other words, it is a religion born of the African slave trade, but African slaves were imported not only by the United States, but also into the West Indies, where the French and Spanish ran plantation islands. Prior to 1803, the New Orleans area was owned by France. The French Creole in those days owned many African slaves. But the Creole did not permit their slaves to gather, giving no chance for Voodoo to breed here natively.
The Creole also knew enough about the corrupted pagan practices of the West Indies slaves to ban the importing of slaves from that region.
Keep going.
So, how did voodoo come to New Orleans?
After the Louisiana Purchase, American legislators relaxed regulations. Slaves were permitted to gather. The Americans also removed the ban on West Indies slaves.
Around the same time, a slave revolt occurred in Santo Domingo, what is now Haiti. Between the lifting of the ban and the Haitian revolt, West Indies slaves began pouring into New Orleans.
Some of them were free people of color, freed or escaped slaves. Some came with their white owners who were fleeing from the revolt.
What happened when the West Indies slaves got here?
They brought voodoo with them. The native slaves were more than enthusiastic about embracing it. It gave them power, Mr. Knight, if only in the form of a communal bond. Among the first meeting places were the Bayou Saint John and the shore of Lake Pontchartrain. The early voodoos were heavy snake worshippers, worshipping the one they called the Great Zombie.
Great zombie.
Tell me more about historical voodoo.
By 1817, the voodoo activities were beginning to cause fear among the white slave owners. An ordinance was passed to forbid slave gatherings except in designated public areas at designated times. The time was Sunday afternoons and the place, Congo Square. The slaves and free people of color gathered to dance simulations of their voodoo dances right in sight of Creole society. Of course, they also continued to meet in private for the real thing.
Interesting.
Tell me more about historical voodoo.
There were a variety of kings and queens at first, voodoo priests and priestesses. But from about 1830, a single power emerged. This was a voodoo queen named Marie Laveau. Marie Laveau ruled voodoo in New Orleans for many years.
Ah, we saw her tomb in the graveyard. That's where those symbols were drawn.
Tell me more about historical voodoo.
I've given you as much detail as I can, Mr. Knight. Look around the museum if you desire more information.
Alright, so how about modern voodoo? Oh, we need to talk about Marie Laveau first.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
There were actually two Marie Laveaus, mother and daughter. Most people thought they were the same woman. Her continued youth added to the mystique. The original The mother was also known as Widow Paris. It was she that began the empire. When the Widow Paris began to practice, there were many Voodooans in the city. By 1830, she was Voodoo Queen of all New Orleans.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
The Widow Paris was a hairdresser for rich Creole ladies. She also paid household servants to spy for her. Between the two, she knew everything about everyone who mattered in New Orleans. She was not above using her information to appear psychic, to intimidate, or even to blackmail.
You sound as though you admire her.
For a black woman in the mid-1800s to gain power is an incredible thing, Mr. Knight. However she achieved it.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
She kept a pet snake, danced with it too. She held traditional voodoo ceremonies out by the lake. She took herself seriously, very seriously. But she was not above selling tickets for her events to curiosity seekers. She was not above using voodoo any way she could to make money. That is for certain.
Heck, I would.
But if she had been in another line of work, in another age, that would have been interpreted as entrepreneurial genius rather than a sign of fraudulence.
Hey, you don't need to convince me. I admire anyone that can actually make a living.
Same here.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
It was Marie Laveau who defined the voodoo that is truly and uniquely the voodoo of New Orleans. She invented hundreds, if not thousands of spells, potions, charms, and incantations. These form the basis of the modern practice, not to mention the folk tradition of voodoo.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
Her daughter, Marie Glapion, took over when the Widow Paris got old. Most people thought it was the same Marie Laveau. Both Maries encouraged that point of view. The Widow Paris died in 1881. Marie Glapion had been reigning a long time by then. After the death of the Widow Paris, other voodoo queens surfaced, and by 1890, the cult was fragmented again. Marie Glapion just sort of faded away.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
The Laveau tomb, where one or both of the Maries are believed to be buried, is in St. Louis Cemetery No. 1. It is a popular shrine for practitioners and tourists alike.
As we've seen.
I myself take tours through the cemetery on a regular basis.
Really?
Really? Do you have any running this week?
No, but the cemetery is open to the general public as well.
Alright, so ask about Marie Laveau enough times and get points.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
You have heard everything about Marie Laveau that a layman might expect to understand.
You call me lame? Alright, wow, this video is going to go over for a bit, but he has a lot to say. It's important.
Tell me about current voodoo.
Many people think of voodoo in terms of magic spells or greenery. That kind of practice is actually called hoodoo, and is only a part of true voodoo. Voodoo, the religion, has a strong following in New Orleans. In fact, it is growing quite rapidly. There are several voodoo churches or temples in the city, and others all across the United States. African Americans see it as a tradition all their own. Whites, and they are many in their religion, are attracted to it because they think it is exotic. I, personally, am more interested in the history of voodoo. Some of the new movements are copying Haitian or even African voodoo. But it is the voodoo of New Orleans that I find so intriguing.
Alright, keep going.
Tell me more about current voodoo.
There are many voodooians in New Orleans. They often do business selling gree-gree, telling fortunes, providing luck, and, occasionally, misfortune. Perhaps you would like to meet a voodooian. We refer those who seek a deeper experience with voodoo to a local practitioner, Magentia Moonbeam.
Sure, I'd love to meet her.
She lives on the corner of Orleans and Dauphine. I will call her and tell her you might stop by.
Great, thanks.
And that gives us a new location to visit, so yeah, important to visit her. Is she on here? No, we can't ask her. Anyway.
Tell me more about current voodoo.
You have tapped my resources. My expertise is really historical. Perhaps Ms. Moonbeam can be of further help.
Hopefully.
Do you know Malia Getty?
Should I?
But she referred me to your museum.
Many have read about our museum in the newspapers, Mr. Knight.
That's a good point.
Alright, no need to get defensive.
Are you sure you don't know Malia Getty?
Quite sure, Mr. Knight.
And finally,
What exactly is hoodoo?
Hoodoo refers to magic folk traditions of the South. Hoodoo is a bastard of voodoo. Many of the gree-gree are similar, but hoodoo does not have the religious aspects of voodoo.
Is there anything else I should know about voodoo?
Not if your interest is primarily in voodoo. Hoodoo is of interest to those who study rural folk traditions, but it will not aid you in understanding true voodoo.
well, true voodoo is what we're going for, so no more about that. So, we've had quite a conversation here with Dr. John, learned a lot about voodoo, but ourselves a new location. So, what does Madame Moonbeam have to share with us about voodoo? Can she shed some more light on the voodoo murders? And what about that Miss Casimir? Well, let's do some more interrogation next time on Let's Play Gabriel Knight, The Sins of the Fathers. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.